Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Got a lot to get into. Joined once again by first buddy, Matt Marsden, who was here yesterday with me processing the loss of Charlie Kirk. And I want to just start this show by saying I really hope that by the time this airs, it's totally irrelevant because we already know that this asshole has been caught. Like, it's the first time that I've ever done any show ever in the News and Why It Matters and Sara Gonzales Unfiltered where I'm like, I hope the first part of this show is entirely irrelevant because they have caught this guy. Mm-hmm. Nothing would make me happier than for the first 15 minutes of this show, you know, it's just like, oh yeah, we already know. That would be great. But as of the time of this taping, the killer, the murderer, remains at large. And the FBI, listen, there are people in the FBI that I know. There are people leading the FBI that I know. I'm real unclear as to how they could have botched it the way that they have botched it so far, in the sense that they told us that they had the guy, then they released him, then they brought in a second guy and said, we got him. And then they said, actually, never mind, it's not him. We actually don't know where the person is because they've clearly fled the scene. We have no idea. So they did release today pictures of a person of interest, they say. They say, just judging by his what you can see right now, they said that he is college aged, they believe, and they're offering a reward of up to $100,000 for information leading to the identification and arrest of this person. They also found an older model 30 caliber bolt action hunting rifle wrapped in a towel in a wooded area near the scene. So that is what we know, again, as of the time of this taping. I hope we have his name by the time you watch this. Nothing would make. I hope we know every single thing about this person. But here's something that we do know unequivocally. Steven Crowder received an internal memo from the ATF where they talked about, it went into, you see this is just where it was found, who all was involved. This is like the detail that they put in their reports. So it includes all of the details on this. But in it, you'll notice this highlighted portion, all cartridges, all the unspent cartridges with the weapon, all cartridges have engraved wording on them expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. We said it yesterday. It was not a coincidence that that was the subject at hand that Charlie Kirk was talking about when he was killed. And I feel like I think like I don't have any more water to create tears at this point. These glasses are to hide the swelling in my eyes, actually. So I don't even know. I'm just drained by all of this. And reading that this morning, it's just, you know it. You're like, yeah, I know this is going to be the case because how else is it going to be? Of course, this is all going to align. Of course, this is going to line up. And then reading that, it's just like, you you people called us the bad guys for saying that these people deserve mental help, real mental help for their illness, real mental help for their delusion. Because not doing that and just enabling and encouraging it can lead to dangerous consequences. And I'm just wondering how many people have to die before we start taking this seriously.
Well, we know what the suicide figures look like for the transgender community. They never get better when they go through the process that is meant to Give them who they, make them who they really are. And yet for years and years and years, we've, not we have, because we've been speaking out against it with compassion, saying, listen, these people, as you said, they need help. And then the left called us evil.
Right.
And, anything, you're an ist or a phobe, right? Like they'll just put that out there, which again, it just means they don't like what you have to say.
Right.
But it was inevitable that the people that end up killing themselves would go and kill other people. I mean, it's taking a life, whether it's their own or whether it's someone else's. I do think it's kind of peculiar that you've got bullet casings with trans things engraved in them. I do think that's odd.
And by the way, Matt, anti-fascist ideology as well, which is the other piece of that, which goes to a point that you've made infinity times. When you call people fascists as much as you call us all fascists, of course you're going to radicalize people.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just said it last week.
Yeah.
The week before, we've been saying this, beating this drum for a very, very long time, because the problem with the right is we kind of, it's kind of that thing where you say, well, we're not at war with them. When you've really got to recognize that doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
They're at war with us. Yep. Okay. And so when we keep saying this, hey, listen, these words mean something, even though they don't offend us, but they do mean something. Mm-hmm. And what you saw within hours, because I went on X, immediately they double down on it. Mm-hmm. And these are people that are in positions of power. So I'm at this point where when anyone wants to say to me, oh, now we have to have dialogue. No. You guys have got to go out and condemn. Mm-hmm. You've got to go, not this bipartisan bullshit, mm-hmm. because for all this time we've sat there and taken it and taken it and taken it and asked politely, can you please stop people saying, that's why I kept saying it on the show. We've said it 1,000 times, right? You got to stop calling people Nazis. You've got to stop doing this. You've got to stop it. You've got to stop it. And they didn't.
Yeah.
And this is not going to be the end of it.
And that's what is, I think so clarifying for me in this moment when you talk about what are all of the factors that we can draw on and say, okay, this was partially to blame. I mean, the shooter acted in and of he or she's own accord. So I'm not trying to say deny them responsibility or absolve them of that. But what I am saying is when we look at, we talk about the mainstream media, they're definitely a culprit. There is a lot of blame to be shared here for who the hell is radicalizing these people and who is dehumanizing us. And that's what we talked about yesterday. But you have the same people who have been doing that for so long, calling President Trump Hitler, it just happened like days ago in DC. You had Code Pink, who we're still trying to find out how in the hell they knew where President Trump was going to be. Don't know how they knew that. But you had them show up and start calling him Hitler because of what's happening with Israel and Palestine. Here's that.
Free DC! Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time.
Trump is the Hitler of our time.
Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler.
And of course, he goes over there like a boss and is like, oh, look at this cute little song you guys are singing. So, to your point, Matt, it doesn't affect any of us anymore. We've already been called it too many times, and we know that we're not. But what it does do is radicalize the other people who are listening to this. And so they called Charlie Hitler plenty of times, white supremacist, fascist, all of it. And he was called all of these things by high-level Democrats. And then you have the same high-level Democrats who now want to say that we shouldn't be blaming anyone. We should just all come to, it just needs to be kumbaya, guys. And it is just, the gaslighting here is just incredible amounts. Let's listen to Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries telling people to tone it down.
This is a time that all Americans should come together and feel and mourn what happened. Violence, which affects so many different people of so many different political persuasions, is an affliction of America. And coming together is what we ought to be doing, not pointing fingers of blame.
This moment requires leadership that brings the American people together as opposed to trying to further divide us. Political violence in any form against any American is unacceptable, should be denounced by everyone. And moving forward, we have to figure out a better way to come together, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans.
I mean, isn't that so convenient? Isn't that so convenient for Hakeem and for Chucky to go over there and tell people now's the time to come together? You guys are the ones who've been calling us this for 10 years.
You said what is responsible for this, and there's a lot of it, a lot that goes into that. One of those elements is actually parenting. You know, as a parent, what you do is you have to teach your kids to have ownership of their behavior and to say, hey, listen, and it's a good leader. I was reading a book recently about being a good leader, and a good leader takes responsibility for the failures of his company. He doesn't look and point the finger to his employees. You say, no, it's a lack of leadership. And what you're seeing here is them and the people on the left just not taking any ownership because they've never had to take any ownership from when they're this high. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the participation generation where they're told that they're amazing, that they think that nothing they can do is wrong, that they can, by the way, and they've been facilitated in moving up the ranks in different companies when they haven't deserved it. There's been no accountability in their lives. Now, what would be the mature thing to say? We as a Democratic Party need to look at ourselves and look at our rhetoric, and I'm calling on every Democrat in the country to stop with this hateful rhetoric. That's your ownership right there, Sarah. That's your ownership, because that's what we do. And we know as Christians that you have to check yourself because you are the only person in control of your own behavior. You could do one thing. I have no control over what you do. I can only control what I do. Sure. And so what they're doing right now is, by the way, they've also set cities on fire and said that it's justified. I mean, it is, like you said, it's gaslighting. What this is, it's not just gaslighting, right? It's mental abuse.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's real mental abuse. Right. And the other thing is, not only did people go out and celebrate, but they made it about something else. We said yesterday, are they going to pivot? They're going to pivot to gun control. They pivoted to gun control. Then they started saying, well, what about the Republicans that have done it? And again.
So I know. Go ahead and finish your thought, and we've got some examples of that.
But what we have, and this is so important for people to realize this, is every lie that the mainstream media puts out, it is cited by other people. Yeah. So if you come out and you say, well, the guy who shot Trump, he was a Republican. We're like, what are you talking about? He had a Blue Sky, donated to Blue Sky, blah, blah, blah. Well, they look at that now and they go, see, he was a Code Blue.
Act Blue.
Act Blue. We'll get some blue, bloody blue. But they will point to that and say, see, he's a Republican. Mm. And then that echoes through. It's and that's the problem, because people will sit there, as we said yesterday, when they're talking about Charlie Kirk is evil, he's this, he's that, and he's not. They're not fact checked. They don't say, hang on, that's not true what you said there.
Yeah, they just go.
It's repeated.
Well, he's a known white supremacist. I mean, that's what they do now. They say, oh, well, everyone knows that he's a fascist. Everyone knows he's a white supremacist. Oh, okay. And then that gets amplified.
Because people are used to looking at media as being an authority.
Yeah.
Especially the longer established ones like your CNN. You don't have a Walter Cronkite anymore. You don't have those, like your cable news that people look to anymore.
So, and I want to get to some of those, but you mention just putting it right back on us, which, again, to Matt's point, is pretty abusive. We're in a pretty abusive relationship with Democrats who, see that one of our greatest voices has been murdered for everyone to just see for themselves. And Representative Seth Moulton of Massachusetts decides to go on TV and say this.
So let's be serious about where this violence is coming from. Of extremist violent attacks in America, extremist violent murders, 76% are from right-wing extremists, 4% are from left-wing extremists. I condemn that 4%. But we also need to be honest about, as a nation, about where this violence is coming from. And oh, by the way, it's probably an appropriate time to talk about guns too.
Of course, yeah.
A lot of
it's
throw it all in there.
The only
throw it all in there. Why not?
Get more guns on the street. That's not going to solve this problem. That's going to make it worse.
So again, like I might be willing to just say it's just a lone gunman. That listen, it's not the left's fault. It's just a lone gunman. We can't blame them for what's happening. Oh, no. Pay very close attention to how they are reacting and then tell me that they are not part of the problem. You can't, because this is absolute ghoulish behavior from people with no conscience and no souls. I want to play on top of that Elizabeth Warren, Senator Karen, who was asked, like, hey, do you think maybe now's, like, should you tone down the rhetoric? What's the tone? What's the rhetoric now? And this was what Elizabeth Warren said to that.
What do you say to people who are saying the Democrats need to lower the temperature, stop talking about things and, terms?
Right. Why don't you start with the President of the United States? Right? And every ugly meme he has posted and every ugly word. He is the leader of this nation.
So we're supposed to believe that President Trump posting a meme is somehow comparable to someone getting on a building and shooting Charlie Kirk in the neck and killing him. We're supposed to believe that those two are the same thing. It's incomprehensible.
This is exactly what they're doing in the UK. This is exactly what they're doing in the UK. They're saying that posting a meme is violence. I mean, how often did we hear like words of violence? You're like, actually, no, they're not. And you got to stop. Look, you are seeing these demons for who they are. Not even for 1 second do they think, I mean, even if you hated Charlie Kirk, and here's the weird thing about what happened yesterday. They killed the worst possible person that they could, because you can't accuse him of any of that. You might turn around to you and say, Sarah, you know what? And we get this all the time. Me and Sarah, potty mouths, right? You can't even say that about Charlie Kirk.
No.
He was.
No.
He was the example.
In fact, I sometimes made him uncomfortable because I had a
every single person that has actually met him in real life has said, he's one of the nicest people, like to a fault.
Yes.
Like to a fault. Like you're not hearing anyone coming out right now and is like, yeah, I met Charlie Kirk and he was an asshole. They can't say it. Like he was literally the worst person that they could say that about, because it's so blatantly untrue. And this is why people are having such a visceral reaction to it, because you can see it. You can see 10 years of him being kind and conscientious and giving other people the time to respond. It is, Sarah, this is radicalizing people, because they look and they go, like I said, you want to say it about me, I drop the F-bomb all the time, I've got rough elbows. You know they could say it about you because you drop the F-bomb all the time and you've got rough elbows. They can't say that about Charlie Kirk. He was someone that I think all of us look to and go, and I said this, I can't remember how long ago it was, but I said, you know, when it comes to someone like Charlie Kirk, I would have got up and smacked some of those people in the mouth what they said to him. Like some of these people are evil. And he didn't. He was calm and caring and something that we all aspire to be, I think, really.
A happy warrior, I think, is how people are just, I mean, that he was. That's just the perfect embodiment of who Charlie Kirk was. Look at always a smile on his face. It didn't matter if people were disagreeing with him. It didn't matter if they were calling him names. That was him. genuinely. And so when you think about all of these, I'm not willing to just say, oh, it was just a lone person. Don't blame the Democrats. You have people in the Democrat Party running this country who are in the House chamber. And Lauren Boebert was requesting a moment of prayer in the House in D.C. for Charlie Kirk. And they couldn't just shut the up. They couldn't just be quiet. Listen to this. Yell no. Then you could.
Let's.
Anna Paulina Luna saying y'all caused this.
The House will be in order. The House will be in order.
They couldn't do it. They couldn't just shut up.
The House will be in order.
I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine?
The House will be in order.
Republicans ever doing that if the circumstances were switched. And I'm not talking about a Barack Obama giving a State of the Union address and a congressman stands up and tells him he's a liar. I'm talking about a man who might die in that moment, who has just gotten brutally shot. And you guys, I mean, I'm not asking you guys to pray. I know you don't believe in that anyway. You couldn't just shut up. You couldn't just be silent. You couldn't just let them have their moment. And that's like the clarifying thing that you should take away from this. That is the clarifying thing. These people hate you. They have dehumanized us to the point where I don't even think that they remember that we are. And in a moment where people don't know if you are going to live or die, the people who are in the Democrat Party who run the country don't care enough to just shut up and let people have that moment. You need to know that. You need to know that. That's honestly my takeaway from this. This is not just some random anonymous person on Twitter shit posting. These are the people who were elected to run our country. That is the Democrat Party. So you cannot tell me that the Democrat Party, this isn't representative of the Democrat Party. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it has been for a very long time. And you know what? I'm glad that these people are showing their true colors.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it for a long time, but because the mainstream media doesn't cover a lot of the evil that they say, they get away with it. Now, I do want you to cast your mind back to the Summer of Love, right? Like, let's look at the people that they put up on a pedestal, a guy that held a pistol to a pregnant woman's stomach, and yet we've all got to sit there, and all the assholes that took knees, and it is so against the fabric of what this country is all about. It is unbelievable, and there's no common decency from them. There's no common decency. Like, you can say, I disagree with that person, but hey, a man, a dad, as we said yesterday, a father, a husband. But here's the threat that Charlie was. I mean, he was a threat to them on multiple different levels. But what he did was he asked people to explain why they called him certain names. I'm a transphobe. Tell me why I am. Right? And then inevitably it was either they didn't have an argument, or he managed to ask the questions that made them think. Yeah. They don't want the kids on college campuses to think.
Right.
That is the worst thing for them.
Right.
Because I said it yesterday, they're all about power. That's all they care about. They don't care about you. They don't care about the truth. Yeah. They care about wielding power. And now you're seeing it. And this is what we need to do from here, Sarah. If that scumbag that was on there that tried to deflect, the guy from Massachusetts, was it? Every single person needs to be out there voting against him in the next election. Like, when he's up for re-election, he's got to go. Every single one of these people have got to go. Yeah. And if you don't, then it's on you, right? Because you're not getting involved in it. Right. I'm saying we do this a democratic way, a peaceful way, but they all need to know that this ends.
Well, right, and if it doesn't, then you can't say he doesn't speak for you anymore, right? This is your representation right now. So if you want to change that, if that's not you and you want to change that, then go ahead and change it. And if you don't, then that's very telling about you. That says, as I try to say to my children sometime when they have some sort of strife or drama, kid drama, like that says a whole lot more about you guys than it does about us. If you have the opportunity and you still don't take it. All right, we've got more, obviously a lot more to get into, but we have to take a quick break. We'll be right back. So just to kind of further prove the point, that I think that everyone should be aware, this is who you're dealing with. These are the people that you're dealing with. We got Charlie in the neck at a vigil. Or maybe it was just a protest designed to taunt. I don't know. Yelling, "We got Charlie in the neck." Celebration. There's more celebration. Not just them. It was across the country. Because again, these might be your neighbors. These might be people that you see out at restaurants and bars and wherever else you go. And I just think it's important that you know who you're dealing with and what the other side thinks of you. Let's listen to this teacher.
God bless America.
An elementary school teacher. Who, by the way, we're done. And conservatives have been taking notes of all of these people and trying to find who they are. And so now we know this woman is an elementary school teacher. There are a lot of teachers that have been celebrating today that have wound up with no jobs because we're not screwing around anymore. And I certainly don't want someone who has that type of blatant disregard for human life to be teaching my children. Absolutely not. That's not a tough decision. So I don't feel bad one bit about these people finding themselves out of jobs. And I know because they don't understand freedom of speech, even though Charlie would try to teach them about freedom of speech. They didn't listen. They don't understand freedom of speech. And they would say, well, I thought I had a First Amendment right to say my opinion. Well, listen, dipshits. You do. When it comes to criticizing the government. That's what the First Amendment is for. The First Amendment is not to give you the right to say whatever the hell you want with absolutely no consequences in your life. That's called around and find out. Actions have consequences. Your speech does have consequences. If you want to run your mouth on social media, okay, but just be prepared for what happens next. You might have an employer who doesn't appreciate that so much, and there are a lot of people who are finding out, maybe I should have listened to Charlie Kirk when it came to the First Amendment. Maybe I should have listened when he was teaching me about freedom of speech, because it turns out I didn't know what the hell that was at all. A lot of people are feeling that today.
Yeah, I want every single person, and we've said this again, and we're flogging the dead horse again. If you are not engaged in your kids' schooling, then you're going to end up with that. Mm-hmm. You can't send your kids to a college, especially a college that is woke. Yep. You can't do it. And if you think that the big conservative colleges are immune, go and have a look at what's happening right now at A&M. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've got to be involved. Now, here's the other thing, Sarah. That girl was an elementary teacher. Elementary teachers deal with children. Yeah. Children have parents. Charlie Kirk is a parent of children. So right there, it's a disqualifier for me. You don't have empathy. You don't understand. Right. You can't empathize with the children. Yeah. And so...
What happens when you see me wear a Donald Trump shirt to go drop off my kid and my kid gets hurt at school? My kid needs your help. My kid's being bullied. I mean, there's an obvious conflict of interest.
Yeah, of course. But this goes through as well to companies. And we've, again, conservatives tend to be a little bit like, well, they're rugged individuals and we've got to... That time is gone. Like, it's totally gone. The fact is the majority, whether people want to admit it or not, the majority of people who own companies are conservative. There are some people who aren't, but when you get that payroll tax, you all of a sudden become very, very conservative. So what needs to happen right now is if you are an owner of a company, and listen, I know this because I got cancelled from Hollywood just for having a belief, right? So if you are a owner of a company and you have people that are ghouls like this, it's on you if you're keeping them there, right? Because it says something about their soul. It really says something deep about their soul. And there's no reasoning with that. You're celebrating someone dying. We've said this 1,000 times. When they tried to shoot Trump, and again, what did they do? They tried to, he wasn't shot. No, he wasn't shot. Now it's like, it's about the guns. Well, what about conservative violent people? We said that we would never, and to this day, we would never celebrate any harm coming to any Democrat.
No, never.
So there's a massive problem. This is a massive problem.
Well, and there are a lot of them who I genuinely believe are not good people, like really evil people. And I still would never wish harm on them. Never wish harm on them. I mean, you had a guy running the country who was a complete traitor, brought in record amounts of illegal unvetted strangers who go on to kill innocent Americans, brought in record levels of fentanyl that are going on to kill innocent Americans. I mean, there is, in my opinion, a lot of blood on Joe Biden's hands. And I would never in a million years wish him dead. If he has cancer, so we're told. I don't know. They said he had cancer and then like that story just kind of went away. But it's like, he's old. And he is going to die at some point. And I'm not going to, I could never get myself in a mindset where I would be celebrating that.
Well,
ever.
How often did we say on this show, it's abhorrent that Jill Biden is still pushing him out there. We said, take him away for his own dignity, right? That wasn't a political thing.
Right.
I mean, it was waiting in the wings, right? So The last thing we wanted is that Muppet getting the presidency. So it's just a fundamental difference in morality. And we have a group of people that, look, Sarah, you and I know, because we've dealt with it behind the scenes and the vitriol and the hate that comes from them to you. I mean, I get it as well, right? But to a woman, I mean, as a dude, you're like, okay, I'll get whatever, they can hate me, I don't care. But the kind of stuff that you get and your family gets is unbelievable. But we've been dealing this for forever.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't see it and we don't talk about it because we don't want to be like, well, we're like, okay, whatever, we're in the space. But these people are evil. Mm-hmm. Because if they're not mentally ill, then they're evil people.
Right.
And that's it.
And it is. And that is that's what it comes down to. And when you have, the younger generation, you have the statistics that I'm reading here are just incredible. A percentage of students nationally who at least rarely accept disruptive tactics as of this year, shouting down a speaker to prevent them from speaking on campus. 71% of the students agree with that. Blocking other students from attending a campus speech, 54%. Using violence to stop a campus speech, 34% of them, a third of college students, believe that it's okay to use violence to stop a campus speech. That's country-ending stuff if we can't get that under control.
Do you know why,
especially with, now we're hearing there was shots fired at UMass Boston. It's just like...
But you know why?
Really quickly.
Okay. They never got spanked as kids. They never got into, like Generation X, we got into fights. We ran our mouth off and we got slapped in the mouth. And we learned pretty quickly that, violence can escalate really rapidly. Mm-hmm. And they don't understand that because they've been able to do these things. And by the way, they get let out. That's another aspect of it. They get let out by the lawmakers, as we saw with that monster who stabbed the Ukrainian in the neck. And again, this is the catch and release policies of these people that do not see justice. Well, let me tell you this. This guy is going to see justice big time.
Oh, yeah. It should be swift and deadly. Yes, and public for all of us to see. All right, we got to thank our sponsor, the segment Birch Gold. So listen, Birch Gold is there for those of you. It's maybe, you want to hedge against inflation if you got another Joe Biden as president. Maybe you want peace of mind during global instability. Maybe you just want sensible diversification. Go talk to my friends over at Birch Gold because gold is great for literally any season. Until September 30th, if you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 in free metals on qualifying purchases. So all you got to do is text the word Sara. That's my name. Hi, I'm Sara, S-A-R-A, to 989898. They're going to help you understand how you can diversify in gold and silver. There's no obligation, just information. So go check them out. Text my name, Sara, to 989898. Joining me now is Texas Land Commissioner, the beautiful Dawn Buckingham, who I am happy to see you, as always. Happy that you're in town. I wish it were under different circumstances.
Yeah, yesterday was quite the day, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if you knew Charlie or how well you knew him, but the thing with Charlie is that you didn't have to know him, right? Everyone knew of his work and his genuineness and his love for this country. And it's just really hard, I'm sure, as a public official, it's hard to see the level of political violence that has just continued to steadily increase in these times.
Yeah, I met Charlie when he was just getting started. We had some friends, and they say, hey, there's this, no offense, kid, literally kid, who is really starting outreach to students across America. And they invited us to a little get-together. I think there were 20 people there. And he spoke to us about his path, not getting, if I'm remembering right, not getting into a military academy because of the DEI stuff. And then that prompted him. And then we've been huge fans. You make it, they take it, socialism, big government sucks. Just took the labels off and found a way to communicate to our young folks to really start a conservative movement there. Yeah. And his loss is tremendous.
Yeah, it is. For the entire conservative community. It is interesting because he started when he was just a kid who wanted to change things. And then I don't know if you saw this, and I want to get into what you're doing because you're doing great work, but you saw this clip maybe of Charlie right after they announced that President Trump had won the election this last time around. Mm-hmm. And the joy on his face, I think he cried. I did too, by the way. It's like Amen. Because he had put in so much work going to these college campuses, getting kids registered to vote, trying to persuade hearts and minds. And he was successful at that.
Speech at the convention was great. So many things.
Yeah. So just seeing that moment for him of just all of my hard work paid off and wow, we actually could have gotten our country back. I know that feeling because I felt it, and you feel it for your kids, just like we're saving this thing for our kids. And it was just really touching to watch from him. So I want to get to some of the stuff that you're doing because the last time we talked, we had talked about this mass of Texas land that you had offered to the Trump administration to carry out all of these mass deportations, or to at least to hold them. We saw Florida build Alligator Alcatraz, and I was just with Governor DeSantis over the weekend, and he made sure to remind us that there's also Deportation Depot as well. So there's several of them going on.
He's winning the naming game for sure.
Yeah, he is. But I'm just wondering, border crossings are basically zero at this
record
point.
Lows, 25-year record lows.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing.
So I would imagine that's greatly decreased the burden for you and for the entire state of Texas when it comes to trying to find land to help with that.
It is such a beautiful thing, honestly. We're seeing fewer people come across our border illegally in a day than we saw in 2 hours under basically the entire Biden administration. So in 2 hours, there would be more people coming across under Biden than come across now in a day.
That's incredible. And that just goes to show you that that's really all it takes, guys. It's really all it takes.
Well, that was our talking point, right? It's the federal policies that really drive this behavior.
Right. So what are you guys doing with that land now, or do you know?
Well, it was always an agricultural lease, and we have the wall up now.
Okay.
And Texas is very excited to be reimbursed by the Big Beautiful Bill for the, I think it's $11 or $12 billion, which helps us out a lot because we've been really putting a lot of resources, obviously, towards border security in that gap when the Biden administration was debasing from its constitutional responsibility, but that's a whole nother conversation that we've had a couple times. So no, it's a ton better, but we have to be prepared, right? Time has shown us that things may change and we might find ourselves back at some point, and so we need to be prepared. We're rooting out any cartel strongholds. We're still looking at if there are islands in the Rio Grande that the cartels are using, because the cartels are still very active. $14 million of fentanyl seized in one day, illegally trying to drive across one of our land ports.
Oh my God.
I mean, the drugs, they're still coming.
Yeah.
And now that they can't pack them on all the people coming across the border all the time, we're getting a lot more at the border crossings. And so really appreciate, Border Patrol, Texas Department of Public Safety, our Texas Military Department. We have so many things, all hands on deck, to really stop this flow of drugs and humans across our border.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think that is something that people forget in this conversations. We're talking about mass deportations all the time. We're talking about rounding up all of the criminals who currently are in all of our interior cities and sending them back. I mean, I'm a big fan of, probably shouldn't say this because you are a state official and you are much more esteemed than I am. But I'm a big fan of the idea of just like a catapult with a button, and you know what? As long as you're not in our country anymore, you just press the button and it just goes whoom, and it just shoots them wherever. I don't know. Let them be Mexico's problem, I guess. But so, in all seriousness, we talk about getting all of these people who are trying to live here out. We're not talking still about the fact that listen, the cartels and the coyotes, for that matter, got so rich off of Joe Biden. They're not just going to stop because President Trump closes the border. They're going to get more creative in their strategies to make sure that their business continues.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right.
And so, I mean, I think that it's important that you bring that to everyone's attention as often as possible. Not that President Trump, I mean, you can't stop all of it, but we do have, the good people, the good officials of Texas and Border Patrol. And, now you can actually work together. Isn't that interesting?
Gosh, can you imagine being a Border Patrol agent under Biden?
No.
Every day knowing that you're not able to do your job the way you should be able to do it.
I mean, and I know a lot of these people, they sign up for the job because they love this country and they want to serve and they want to protect. And then to go there and just have your hands tied and be like, there's nothing I can do. It must be the most degrading experience for them.
I think the morale is a ton better. We've been speaking with Border Patrol a fair amount, and I think the morale is hugely improved. I think the recruiting is obviously much better now.
You can see it.
You can see it. You can see it in their walk. You can see it, the smile on their faces, and we had to love Border Patrol even when we knew they were in a tough spot, right?
Sure.
We recognized that and appreciated everything they did do, even in those tough conditions. But it is so much better now. And it just amazes me that every elected official takes an oath to uphold the laws and constitution of our country, and yet they blatantly disregarded them.
Mm-hmm. So what is the most pressing issue for you right now? With, we're in Donald Trump's America. Obviously, there are a lot of burdens that have been greatly reduced, but what is still your greatest challenge?
I only see opportunities. The General Land Office, every day we help our veterans. We do all the things on the coast, beach renourishment, all of that. We help Texans recover from disaster. We're on the tail end of $14 billion of disaster recovery, $1 billion on flood mitigation projects. We actually had the first predictive and flood study already just got initiated, but even before the big July 4th floods, plus the Alamo, plus we have so many things going on. So we just see opportunities and we just go and we just defend unapologetically the Texas we know and love every single day.
That's amazing. I love that. I also saw that the Department of Interior is proposing to rescind the Bureau of Land Management's public lands rule. So, which is supposed to kind of empower more local decision making. Can you speak to the importance of that?
Well, I do think that's important. You know, Texas is in stark contrast to every other state because when we joined the Union, we joined from being a sovereign nation.
Yeah.
And so because of that, we retained our unowned lands. So we are vast majority state land, not federal land. I think federal land is less than 2% in Texas, and it's mostly national parks. And so it's a totally different beast. But that's how we've been able to generate $5 billion for public education in the last 2.5 years. It's how we're able to support our veterans mortgage lending program and our other veterans programs. I mean, it just brings so much prosperity to Texas. It was probably the single best decision that our forefathers made.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to actually have an administration who recognizes federalism and the true intention behind, like, all of this was designed for a reason. It all is supposed to flow together, and the moment that you start tinkering with it, you're not going to like what happens next. Well, I appreciate you so much and all of the great work that you're doing here in the state of Texas. I think that your role is so important, and a lot of people, including myself, sometimes they don't know all of the details of what, you're talking about land that you guys are generating revenue for these public universities, people don't realize that. It is a huge role and a huge undertaking. And you've managed it beautifully, and I appreciate you.
Oh, it's just a lot of fun. I joke we run around Texas and make the right people mad.
Yeah. You're like, if you're making the right people mad, you are over the target for sure. And you definitely do that. Dr. Dawn Buckingham, Texas Land Commissioner, I appreciate you. And I hope that I'm not about to embarrass you when I thank my sponsor.
Nope, not at all.
I did mention she's a doctor, so it's fine. It's going to be fine. Want to thank our sponsor of this segment, BlueChew. Do we have the sound effect or do we not? We should play it if we have it. There it is. You can listen. BlueChew is the original brand offering chewable tablets we can talk about ED. Okay, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be embarrassed of. But honestly, if you just spice it up a little, it doesn't really matter how you do it. It does kind of matter, but I won't get into that. The point is, BlueChew tablets are made in the USA. They're prepared and shipped directly to your door. I know men are embarrassed. You shouldn't be, but I know men get embarrassed about it. And so it's all done online. You don't have to go to the doctor's office. You don't have to have the awkward conversation. You don't have to wait in line at the pharmacy. What are you here for? Can I please be invisible right now? You don't need to do that. And for our listeners, we've got a special deal. Your first month of BlueChew is free. Don't be embarrassed. Just get BlueChew. You can use promo code Sarah at checkout. Pay $5 for shipping. BlueChew.com. Promo code Sarah. Well, who knows what tomorrow holds, Matt, but I hope that it includes apprehending this person. I want to know everything about them. I want someone to get all of their social. I want to know every single thing there is to know about this person so the mainstream media doesn't bury it.
Yeah, and I'd like a little bit more leadership from our government officials to come out and start calling this out. I'd like to stop the name calling, and it has to end.
It does have to end. We'll see you guys tomorrow.